The greatest pain any parent can feel is to lose their child. But their greatest fear is not knowing what kind of person their child is, what they're capable of, and the dark secrets in their minds. This is what was probably on the mind of a father, Steven Ramsay, as he listened to the sickening confession of his 17-year-old son, Gavon Ramsay, to the Wadsworth Police Department. Gavon had committed one of the most horrifying acts of human cruelty to a 98-year-old woman by the name of Margaret Douglas. On that day, two parents would uncover a dark secret about their teenage son. As Gavon's interrogation continued,
him getting the payback, I guess, I don't know, that's, like, it's karma, really. Like, if you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna rob you.
more disturbing truths would surface, sending chills down the spines of everyone involved. Come with us as we uncover the mystery of Margaret's death, the gruesome violation of her body, and the twisted motive behind this unthinkable crime. This horrifying true crime tale starts on the 9th of April when police at the Wadsworth Police Department, Ohio, received a call from a family member of Margaret Douglas. This family member, Howard Leisure, her nephew, claimed that they had been trying to contact his aunt, Margaret, for a while now, without success.
Portage Street.
Okay.
And a friend of ours stopped over there yesterday to check on her, and she was nowhere to be found. We didn't know if you found anybody wandering.
No, we don't have any reports of anybody wandering.
We can't find her in the house anywhere. He went in the house and looked through the whole house, couldn't find her. We don't know where she's at. She's 98 years old.
Howard was worried since she lived by herself and had a habit of leaving her door unlocked. He wanted to know if the police had received any reports of an older woman wandering by herself outside.
Watcher Police.
Yes, this is Howard Leisure. My aunt lives on Portage Street,
Okay.
and a friend of ours stopped over there yesterday to check on her, and she was nowhere to be found. We didn't know if you found anybody wandering.
No, we don't have any reports of anybody wandering.
We can't find her in the house anywhere. He went in the house and looked through the whole house, couldn't find her. We don't know where she's at. She's 98 years old.
Did she live there by herself?
She lives there by herself, yes.
What's her name?
Margaret Douglas. She doesn't drive. She doesn't have a car. And I checked with what relatives I had phone numbers for, and nobody's heard from her or picked her up, so.
Okay.
The police, not having received any such reports or a description of Margaret, obviously became worried and decided to conduct a wellness check on her. They traveled to her home and checked the entire house, but she was nowhere to be found. They started a preliminary search for her. The initial search turned up nothing, but soon Howard and his wife Cindy turned up at the house to help with the investigation, to look for any clues that might point to her having left on her own volition. But no such clue turned up until Howard went to check his aunt's closet. There, he made a horrifying discovery. What he had initially thought to be Margaret's shoes covered by a pile of clothing was, in fact, the dead body of his 98-year-old aunt, Margaret Douglas. They found Margaret disheveled with part of her clothing torn and trauma on her neck, suggesting that she had been sexually assaulted and strangled.
Year-old woman died after she was reported missing yesterday.
And just like that, this missing persons case had turned into a murder investigation, one that pointed at a mastermind with a twisted mind. Who this was and why they did it quickly became the priority of the police. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. The first thing the police did was conduct some preliminary forensics on Margaret's body. There, they found that apart from the trauma on her neck, she also had contusions and bruises on her face and head, suggesting that she had a violent encounter in which she was either hit in the face or slammed into a hard surface like the floor. These contusions were found to have happened before her death, and from the amount of rigor mortis, it was obvious that she had been dead for a few days. Further investigation revealed that her wallet was missing, leading investigators to suspect that a burglary had happened that led to her death. However, when they searched the house, nothing of value was reported missing.
Margaret's home is declared a crime scene, and homicide detectives arrive.
Margaret was positioned with her head down in the corner and her backside kind of up in the air. Her underpants were torn inside the closet there. Her nightgown was all unsnapped and her bra was pulled up. I immediately thought that there was a sexual element to the crime. There was a lot of trauma to Margaret's neck region. Somebody was able to strangle her, and my assumption was manually due to the lack of any ligature marks.
Looking at the condition of Margaret's body, rigor came and gone. You could look at the different lividity and the pulling of the blood inside the body to see it appeared she had been there for a few days.
As the forensics team gathers DNA and fingerprints, detectives search the house for further evidence.
Her wallet was not located, so that gave us an indication that maybe this was a burglary and they had made off with just the wallet. Margaret didn't always lock her doors, so we weren't surprised when we didn't find forced entry into her home.
Investigators find their first clue outside the home.
I observed a plastic food service glove on the back side of the house and collected the glove just in case that it was involved.
There was not a lot of physical evidence at the crime scene. Besides the glove, the missing wallet was something, but nothing that would direct us in a certain way.
The best thing to do is to get to know your victim as best you can.
Making the situation even more suspicious and throwing a wrench into the police's burglary theory. They were stumped on clues, and the only other one they could find in the house was a plastic glove, which had been discarded in the back of the property. With no progress being made within the house, the police turned to the neighborhood. Margaret, who was known for her independence, had been living alone in Page Street after the death of her husband. But this did not deter them, and after investigating her immediate family, they found a lead in the form of a man named David. David was Douglas's caretaker, and his job was to check on her from time to time and help with some chores and errands around the house.
Met with Margaret's friend David. What he told them would prove to be invaluable, though it was far from reassuring.
And I came up Sunday, and on 3, 4:30, or 5, somewhere around there, and there were the 3 newspapers on the front porch. So I knocked on the door and then opened. She never locked her door.
Was it common knowledge that her front door was not locked?
I don't think so. I know we never told anybody. I wouldn't want anybody to know something like that, you know.
They were initially unable to reach him, but luckily for them, they didn't need to, as David turned up around the house. Police decided to confront him, and when asked what he was doing hanging around an active murder investigation scene, he told them that he used to be Douglas's neighbor and was worried about her. When asked further questions, David revealed specific details about the murder that were known only to the police. The mystery deepens. This quickly made them suspicious of him, catapulting him to the top of the possible suspect list. During questioning, David told the police that he had visited Margaret's home a few days prior and was surprised when he couldn't find her.
And then,
Were you making those calls on your cell phone?
no, I made it on her phone there
On her phone?
on the desk. It's the old style phone.
Oh, the rotary phone?
Yeah, Rudy's phone.
Okay.
Yeah, and I called on that.
You don't want to use that digital phone?
Well, it wasn't in the bracket
Oh,
where
okay.
she kept it.
Is this somebody that was up by Margaret's house and found a crime of opportunity because it's somebody that they can maybe figure out lives alone?
As the canvass continues, officers notice someone watching the activity around Margaret's house.
I noticed a man outside smoking a cigarette, so I went out to make contact with him. This person ended up being David Klinkenbeard. He said that he used to live next door to Margaret. He kind of wanted to know what was going on.
He said he was essentially canvassing the neighborhood looking for anything that was suspicious.
David did strike me as odd at first. It was concerning to me that he was standing out there trying to determine what exactly we had found.
As David continues to talk, police grow increasingly suspicious.
He was kind of making comments about information that seemed strange that he would know about.
He knew details of where Margaret was found and in what state she was found. Having people know how she was found and even what she was wearing is very suspicious. You don't know where someone has gotten their information. Were they there? Were they involved in the murder?
With a growing list of questions about David, officers approach Margaret's neighbors for answers.
One of the neighbors had mentioned how they had seen David driving through the neighborhood, but didn't stop, just kind of drove through. So they thought that was kind of strange. Maybe he's coming back to the scene of a crime, whether he's driving back by because he knows what he did and he's having remorse, or maybe trying to get back inside there to get her body out of there and get rid of it, or to look to see if he left anything behind.
David told some of the neighbors that his fingerprints would be all over the house and he would have to get his fingerprints taken, which is not something that people usually say or think.
The next day, David's appearance in local news coverage of the murder raises further alarm bells.
I turned on the news and there he is on TV, talking to the reporters, putting himself out there.
Was this a guilty man's ploy to hide in plain sight?
That seemed out of sorts to us. Generally, when people are grieving a loss, their instinct is not to cooperate with the media, but David seemed very willing to speak with them.
This only served to alarm the police further, and to clear his name, David agreed to have his DNA tested against the one found on the glove. And fortunately for David, his was not a match. This, coupled with having his whereabouts verified, served to quell their suspicions. What this meant was that they were now back to square one. They were still stomping on who did it and why they did it. In their quest to find these answers, they stumbled upon reports of petty crimes committed in the area. Further investigation revealed that a trailer in a nearby construction site had been broken into, and they had no idea who had done it. This led them to attempt the initial burglary theory with a reported break-in, especially since autopsy reports suggested that Douglas hadn't been sexually assaulted like they originally presumed. At the trailer break-in site, they found a clue in the form of a phone, which they believed had been left behind by the culprit. This allowed them to track it back to a man who went by the name Braden.
Your phone?
Yes.
Where do you think you left it?
That I have no idea.
What were you doing last night?
Just out walking around. I forget the officer's name, but somebody stopped me and I talked to him for a little bit. I guess he was out looking for somebody.
Who were you walking around with?
Nobody.
They had no idea how close they'd come to catching their culprit that night.
Are you missing a lighter?
Mm-mm.
No? Would you be surprised if I told you that there was a lighter with your phone?
Honestly, yes.
Braden was brought in for questioning, where he confessed to the break-in, but suggested that it and the other strings of petty crimes in the community had been committed together with a 17-year-old, Gavon Ramsay.
What were you doing last night?
just out walking around. I forget the officer's name, but
He claimed that all the crimes had been Gavon's idea. Gavon had a history of misdemeanors, including a recent one that involved the carjacking of a man's car. Now, the police had a possible lead, and they decided to pull this string in to see if it could lead them to any more clues on Margaret's death. On the 13th of April 2018, just a few days after Margaret's body was discovered, Gavon was called in for questioning alongside his mother, Christine, since he was underage and couldn't be interrogated by himself.
Gavon, does your mom know why you're here?
Well, he said he climbed on top of the church.
Yeah.
So there's got to be more to that story, because I wouldn't be going down here and picking up at school if that's what he did.
there's actually people abusing me of like the girl. And that's, like, I said some dark stuff and everything. And, like, I don't know, people know.
We don't have the results back, and we won't have them back for a while, but do you know anybody that would do something like that?
No, the only person I know that's probably crazy enough to do anything like that is Hugh. He works at Breeze, but I don't, like, when I first got hired at Breeze, people were like, you know, hold on, mess with Hugh and everything. And I mean, that's the first thing that I did.
Is that his real name?
Yeah, Hugh Young, I'm pretty sure. And
Where's he live?
I don't even know. I found his Facebook the other day.
Does it say Hugh Young?
Well, it says Hugh D. Young, but in it looks way different because he's got just a goatee, clean shaven. Now he looks like he's actually kind of crazy.
What do you think should happen to somebody that does that?
That kill someone?
Kills a 98-year-old woman?
I don't know. I think eye for an eye is the best way to go. That's how I look at things. Eye for an eye.
And your DNA is already on file? I mean, if it makes you feel better, I will give them your name and let them know your DNA is on file, and they can rule you out. Okay, when we get a DNA profile. Would that help you?
I mean, what, for like the lady?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that doesn't bother me.
Well, I think it bothers you that people are accusing you of it.
Yeah, it does, but I don't know. Like, people are still gonna say it. It makes me mad because that many people have said it, but I haven't really heard it since, like, it was only the first couple of days since it happened, but I haven't. So, I mean, you can if you want it, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, I think if we get a profile that doesn't match up to anything we've submitted, that they run it through the computer system, and the computer system runs it against all of them that they've collected from people who've been in trouble in the past. So that's how it usually works. So it would probably get passed over anyway.
Police went straight to the point, talking about the break-in at Margaret's place, which Gavon's mother was distraught about, saying how sad it was that such a horrific thing could have happened to an old woman like her.
Did you know her at all?
No, other than just to see her out, like on a porch. That actually makes me want to cry. Like, how do you get to be 98 years old? Nobody lives to be 98. It's so rare. And someone else thought that that was okay. Like, how does that, I don't know. Like, why does your life end like that?
That's right. Margaret lived just around the corner from Gavon. Tragically, she'd been found deceased. She'd been strangled and her body hidden inside her own home. But the most horrifying facts of what was done to her body after death were not yet known. The answer of who was twisted enough to commit such a crime would hit far closer to home than anyone anticipated.
And then I'd get all scared. I'm like, oh my God, I have all my porch lights on now, and I have stranger danger issues.
The irony of Chris's stranger danger issues would not be lost for long.
I can't imagine you doing something like that. I just interacting with you this little bit, I can't imagine that's in your wheelhouse.
No.
But there was so much about Gavon that nobody knew, including his capacity for unspeakable cruelty.
I asked him, did you get put in a bad situation? Did somebody put you in a bad situation? No.
Yeah, get it this way. Honesty is always what's best.
I'm not holding anything back. Like,
You've already gotten yourself in trouble, so.
I know, and I don't even. I don't know what to say.
Is there more? Because you know it always comes out.
It's not that there's anything more. It's what the, dude.
Nobody always lets you get. What happens in the dark comes out in the light. That's the way it works. You mess up, you get caught. You make bad choices, you're gonna pay for it. So if there's something else, let's get it all out on the table so that we know what we're dealing with.
It's not anything else. It's, I don't know. I'm mad at myself. I'm so mad at myself.
What are you so mad at yourself for?
I was 16 there, yeah. Felony, like 5 misdemeanors, and now I'm gonna be in more trouble. I have to go back to court, and I'm done with it. I'm so done with it. Here, I'm costing them thousands of dollars. Constant heartbreak. I've honestly probably never made either of them proud. I don't do anything good.
Stop cussing.
You didn't take anybody's car? Have you ever used an app called Grindr?
No.
How do you feel about gay people?
I'm not gay.
Oh, well, that's okay. But they don't bother you?
No, nobody bothers me.
Okay.
But while Gavon's mother talked, the interrogators could see that Gavon was uncomfortable when Margaret was mentioned. This prompted them to ask him if he knew anything about what happened. The officer in charge of questioning was a female with years of experience of children of her own, ranging in age from 10 to 26 years old. She used this to emphasize her maternal role, getting Gavon to trust her and be comfortable with sharing information with her. Seeing her son was being pressed to share more information,
Nobody always lets you get. What happens in the dark comes out in the light. That's the way it works. You mess up, you get caught. You make bad choices, you're gonna pay for it. So if there's something else, let's get it all out on the table so that we know what we're dealing with.
It's not anything else. It's, I don't know. I'm mad at myself. I'm so mad at myself.
Christine encouraged her son to open up and be honest, still unaware of the severity of her son's horrible acts. Gavon began to tear up, showing signs of distress, denial, and remorse. He started expressing his desire not to live with his parents anymore, saying that he wasn't normal and that his parents weren't the problem.
Windows, and they were already cracked open, and like we were just messing with them. Like they were honestly cracked open. I'm not lying anymore.
You'd think that would be enough to scare the bejeebies out of you and go home. Were you guys gonna hide in the trailer?
No.
What did you do with the trailer?
I poked my knife behind like the little seam in it and popped it out.
Why were you guys gonna go in there?
I don't know. We honestly had nothing to do. And me and Brayden together, we know it's not good, but I don't know. We're good friends. We just hang out.
You guys do anything else in the area?
No.
So you guys didn't go into any cars? You know what? It would make me feel a lot better now if it was just the two of you that went into the cars.
Yeah.
You know, because of the other issue in the area. I'm sure.
I didn't even know there was coffee.
Issues.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah. You guys didn't. Now would be the time to tell, okay? Because we processed the cards, we did fingerprints and DNA. He's been in trouble. I would assume you were with him at Central Intermediate School?
Yes.
So your DNA is on file as well. So that's all going to come up. If it's you guys, for goodness sakes, it's just rummaging through cars and nothing.
Showing empathy and care seemed to get Gavon to be willing to open up a bit more, but with a caveat that his mother and the male interrogator wouldn't be in the room for what he wanted to say next. Gavon doesn't immediately confess to harming Mary, but instead admits to his crime of carjacking.
The whole carjacking thing, I never even left over. Got out, I sit and locked the doors and hopped in the driver's seat and just drove around, messed with them, and then I left.
So then you got out and left.
Yeah, I didn't damage the car. I didn't.
Well, we knew it was there, you know, when he finally walked somewhere to get home, and we knew there was something more to the story that he wasn't telling us.
Yeah, I didn't damage any of the stuff. I just, like...
Do you have his wallet?
No. No, that's because I kept asking, like, I cracked the window of the car, like, because he walked up, the doors go out and everything. I'm like, where's your wallet? And he's like, I don't have it. So then, you know, I opened his glove box and all that. And I'm like, well, show me your pockets. And he's like, I don't have it, but can I have my phone? I'm like, no. And then I turned and he, like, tried to grab the window and, like, break it. And then I gassed it and he walked, and that's when he left with the look. And then I went up to, like, where the dumpsters are. You know where that white van is? Yeah, that's where I left the car. I just went over. And then the only reason I knew what he was saying is because I heard sirens and stuff. I'm like, that guy's not just going to leave.
He claimed to have met up with the man on the dating app Grindr. Gavon claimed that he had carjacked the man as a sort of karma for trying to hook up with a 17-year-old. This confession seemed to be an attempt by Gavon to throw an easier bone for the police to pick. He described himself as a dark person, hinting at highly psychopathic traits. As the questioning continued, Gavon's defenses began to slip, and he began to cry and talk about how people kept claiming that he killed Margaret. This statement led to more from Gavon that began to unravel his relationship with Margaret and the mystery of her murder. According to Gavon, he had on several occasions tried to enter Margaret's house, but only got as far as the front porch. This immediately made the police suspicious, leading them to ask if they would find his DNA at her house. Gavon's reaction to this instantly made detectives suspicious, and they obtained permission from his mother to confiscate his phone while they released him. On his phone, they discovered disturbing evidence linking Gavon to the crime, leading to his arrest.
Heard me yell, then looked for the phone. She heard me what it looked like.
We're trying to like that much of the phone. Is that when you're trying to get the phone away from us, just been call? Did you not like get away, or is that what you guys lied with the phone?
It was like a little bit. It was like I think I threw it under the couch. I'm not really sure.
You guys ended up on the floor at that point?
Yeah, I don't even know where the phone went.
You say you guys on the floor, like her gown on the floor.
Yeah, because she was still
wearing her underwear, I guess.
I don't even know if she was wearing underwear. Oh, because when she was on the couch, like she grabbed the phone and everything. It was still like yelling, and I don't know if she died or anything yet or not, but I just didn't know what to do, and that happened. By the time I even realized what I was doing, it was too late to stop anything.
And when you realized that when you were on the floor on top of her with your hands on her.
Now there's a couple of videos of you kind of peeking over the edge of the couch and videotaping her. When was that all done?
That was all the same. Why did I lie about anything? That was stupid.
Going by the house earlier.
No, like I never went to the house before, but
He initially claimed it was shock and adrenaline from being discovered by Margaret while breaking into the house that made him do it. Still, evidence from Gavon's phone from a hidden app called Dark, which contained photos and videos, contradicted this. From the evidence, Gavon spent a while watching her sleep, and when she woke up, he swiftly proceeded to strangle her and then spent the next few hours reveling in his twisted thoughts. This evidence, combined with DNA evidence found on the glove that was discovered, completed Gavon's connection to the crime. The investigation was over, and now this information was out in the light. Gavon's parents' reaction to this horrifying truth was heartbreaking.
Oh, oh my God.
That woman was 98 years old.
And
it's my son.
Gavon, does your mom know why you're here?
Well,
Yeah.
he said he climbed on top of the church.
Yeah.
So there's got to be more to that story because I wouldn't be going down there and picking up at school if that's what he did.
She climbed on top. And then we went like into the courtyard, but that's all we did.
Nah, you did more. Unfortunately, you guys have left behind some very telling items. Okay? If we're gonna get to the bottom of this, let's just make it the truth all at once. Let's deal with it and get it done.
You're 17.
Yeah. You're a kid, so you're not looking at as much trouble.
But it was time for the hammer of justice to fall on him for his psychopathy. Gavon was charged with murder along with other lesser offenses and stood trial as an adult due to the severity of his crimes. During the trial, his mother blamed the doctor's prescription of Zoloft to have been what was responsible for making him worse. Despite this, the judge presiding over the case did not relent and instead found him guilty of all charges and sentenced him to life in prison without parole. Margaret's family had finally gotten their justice, and a dangerous person was behind bars for life. Even with that, one thing remained on the minds of everyone. What made a young boy like Gavon capable of such horrific acts? The answer to that can simply be explained as a terrifying and explosive mix of depression, suicidal tendencies, impulsivity, and psychopathy, and information gleaned from Gavon's journal confiscated at his home only seems to validate this. In his journal, Gavon fantasized about beating people to death and raping them, showing that what happened to Margaret might not have been a spur-of-the-moment situation, but rather the perverse machinations of a twisted mind. Tell us down below what you think made the 17-year-old do this. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.